Good afternoon to dear all customers and our Tata Steel colleagues who are connected to this session of webinar. This is Sanjay Behra from Tata Steel and a warm welcome from Tata Steel for this session. You see, in those days, whole world is a global field. So the fact that India will be one of the fastest economy in the next 5 to 10 years, and it may be the global manufacturing hub similar to China by 2020. And in this connection, our Prime Minister has initiated Make in India initiatives, zero defect, zero effect, which will ultimately help to globalize our products around the world. So it is very important for our customers, whether it is SME or big corporations, to develop market in the global field. To one, the plus point is that it will have de-risk to their growth, as well as when they compete with some of the best companies around the world, it will help the improving the product quality maturity and also definitely the foreign exchange earning, which will help them in enhancing their growth in the coming years. Then if somebody wants to export, what are the basic things he should know, and what are the rules, regulations, and what are the nitty gritty in the financing aspect as well as risk aspect, one should know, because the domestic business and global business are entirely different. In this aspect, Professor Jayant Sil from IFT, which having a rich experience of more than 25 years in this field, will take you around what are the basics of exports, how it will go, what are the basic things one should know prior to starting the exports, and what are the different documentations in terms of LC, and how is it different from the domestic market. So over to Dr. Shields.
Thank you. So basically, we'll be starting this now. Just consider the situation. Like what we'll be doing is little bit of export. What are the problems? What are the advantages? What are the payment terms? What are the risks involved? And why it is important? And also what are the advantages or what are the incentives given to the MSMEs, etc., etc. So you can ask questions at any point of time by typing the question. So definitely I'll answer, and any part if you think that you have a clarification, I'll definitely clarify that. Okay. Consider a very simple situation. A businessman from US traveled to West Bengal. Okay. Now, while on the business trip, he visited some tourist places and he purchased some handicraft items. Now, what do you do? Whenever we go to a particular place, whatever is whatever I find something different there, we normally try to buy it. Now, he had gone back to his home in US, and those places find a place in his living room, which you can see. It's a simple example where you can enter. So now the friends who visited appreciated the craft and asked him to get some pieces for them when he was next visiting in India. Now what are the available options which he has? Since he was a businessman, he saw an opportunity there. That is why we are here. He could make a business plan from a standpoint view of a dealer in US who wanted to import and distribute the art goods. He could make a business plan from a standpoint view of the craftsman who wanted to export their art to US. Now we fall in the second category. That is, why we fall in the second category? We are thinking about ourselves, but at the same time, if he does not make a business plan, then we cannot also make a business plan, because we are here. We don't know whether things are required there or not, because his friends are coming to his house and giving a requirement. Next time when he comes to India, he may buy it or he may not buy it, but instead if he looks from a business angle, then only we have an export opportunity. And yet, so if you make a business plan, it should include determination of potential demand. This is the most important part, that is whether there is a demand or not. There are many ways you can find out whether there is a demand for a particular product or not. And of course, marketing channels, which definitely includes methods of promotion, export import procedures, physical distribution, and of course economic feasibility. Economic feasibility means whether it is possible to make profit by exporting goods. Now, the sometimes apparently it looks like that there are certain products which are cheaper here, but they are costlier there. But why don't we make and here and export there? But there are a lot of other problems which are there. So we'll be discussing some of them. It may not be that easy. Again, at the same time, it may not be that difficult also. So basically, when we talk about international trade, there is something called export and there is something called import. If somebody exports, other has to import. So what do you mean by exports is very easy. Just going through it once, all of you know. Goods and services produced in one country and sold in another country. So whatever we produce in India, goods and services, but we sell to other countries, that is called export. Similarly, whatever we don't produce in India, we bring from other countries, that is what is called import. So goods and services consumed in a country, but which have been purchased from other countries. Now, there are two things which are very related to exports and or international trade. One is called trade deficit, one is called trade surplus, they are just opposite. So when your exports are more than your imports, it is trade surplus. But when your imports are more than your exports, it is trade deficit. Now, if you say India as a whole, we have a trade deficit. Why? Because our imports are more than our exports. Okay, so trade deficit and surplus. So, but if you see India as a whole, we have a trade deficit. But there are certain countries, when we analyze country wise, say for example, China, we import from China, we also export to China. But as a whole, we have a trade deficit with China. But we have a trade surplus with Bangladesh. That is, we export more to Bangladesh, but we import less from Bangladesh. So, but as a whole, India has a trade deficit. Now, the point is, you might have trade deficit with a particular country, but that does not mean it is bad because there are certain things which are available in that country, but not available in your country. That is why, say for example, we always have a trade deficit with Gulf, Iran, or other countries, Gulf countries, because they also buy a lot of things from India. But the point is, we buy in huge quantity. We buy oil. So anyway, there is also something called index of openness. What do you mean by index of openness? A measure of how much a country participates in international trade. It is normally defined as a ratio of countries' exports to its GDP. Remember, it is defined as a ratio of countries' exports to its GDP. Now, a country with a high value of index is openness is called an open economy, and a country with a relatively low volume of low index openness is called a closed economy. Now, you also know till 1991, though India always encouraged exports, but if you want to increase your exports, that is when you want to sell in other countries, you have to allow them to come and sell their products to your country also. So India was a closed economy till 1991, but now onwards we are slowly opening, and it is not, we cannot say that we are fully open economy because there are a lot of restrictions in a lot of areas, but still we are not as close as what we were in 1991. Most of the areas we are open. Now, what are the reasons for differences in the for the economic growth of countries? Now, basically, it boils down to natural resources. Now, if it is only natural resources, it is not the case. You have to exploit those natural resources with proper technology. Now, first is quantity and quality of resources, endowments, particularly human capital, investment in plant and equipment, that is capital, and political and socio-economic environment that is stable and conducive to competition. Now, if you see all these, I'll give you an example that will be clear. See, Africa, there are a lot of natural resources. In fact, if you see the East African countries, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, all these places, there are two monsoons. So they have a lot of vegetables, but they don't have the technology for food processing. So that is where that is what they are lacking. So Only resources will not do. So there are a lot. Nigeria has a lot of oil. It is the, in fact, size-wise, it is the largest economy in Africa. But there are a lot of political problems in Nigeria. So that is why the third point, which is political and socio-economic environment, that is also stable and conducive. So only natural resources will not do. You have to have investment in plant and equipment, that means it is your technology, and also you have to have a stable and political government. Now the point is, if you see the developed countries, especially UK, US, especially Europe, they fought more wars than this part Asia or other places. But if you see, they fought wars long back. Now all these European countries, they have most of them have a stable government, except one or two. They have a stable government, they have a good socio-economic environment, and many of them, though they do not have natural resources, but with the help of technology, and they are importing natural resources from other places, they are managing. So only natural, but America has a lot of natural resources, a lot of European countries have natural resources, Switzerland has a lot of golds and other things. But at the same time, most important thing, what they have a stable government, and they have a good socio-economic environment. So when you do business, these things which are required. Without, and today with the help of technology, now earlier, we when I was a student, we used to read theory of comparative advantage. If you have a comparative disadvantage in one particular thing, one particular commodity, we import it. If you have a comparative advantage, we export it. Now there are a lot of what you call, there are a lot of assumptions in that theory. One assumption was, factors of production like capital, land, labor, this cannot be transferred. Only the finished goods or services can be transferred. It did not consider the uncertainty or risk. But today's world, it's full of uncertainty or risk. Capital is moving faster than the speed of light from one country to another with a click of mouse. Then in many cases, human resources can also be transferred. Land cannot be transferred, but you can go to another country and set up your business. So the theory has lost its relevance, though still date it is one of the unchallenged theory in trade, for which we have so much of international trade. Anyway, we will come to that. I'm not going to so much of deep in economics and theories. So basic idea here is, you must have a conducive environment where you can do business. So what are the reasons for growth of world exports? Okay. Now here our main concentration will be exports from India, increasing exports from India. Now as I have told you, import is not bad, but the point is, it is international trade only. Import is also international trade, export is also international trade. If everybody wants to export, then who will import? But import is not bad. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is, here today our thrust is on export. Okay. So what has caused the explosion of world trade? One is reduction in trade barriers. Now there are two kinds of barriers. One is a tariff barrier, one is a non-tariff barrier. What do you mean by tariff barrier? You impose tax, or you impose duty on the imported items. So naturally, other people cannot export to your country. So the countries where India wants to export, if they impose some restrictions by putting some tariffs or tax, so that is called a tariff barrier. What are non-tariff barriers? There are a lot of other kinds of restrictions. Like suppose if you want to export to developed countries, there are a lot of things popularly known as sanitary and phytosanitary restrictions. So those things you have to fulfill. Okay. So there are a lot of other restrictions. They are called non-tariff barriers. There are other kinds of trade barriers also, but slowly over this period there is a huge reduction in trade barriers, because you know if you want to export to a particular country, then naturally you have to allow them to export to your country. So it cannot be one-way traffic. Now, then there are a lot of advances in transportation, communication, and technology. The biggest thing, what you can say, is communication and technology over this period of time, and of course, transportation, especially after containerization. Containerization means you can see the photograph of a container. Earlier things we used to trade in the container was not so much of popular. Now when you trade through container, there are a lot of items you can. It is a proper shape and size, so it becomes very easy to handle. And proliferation of trade agreements. There are different trade agreements. There are bilateral agreements. There are block of countries. There are WTO. There are a lot of other things which has happened. Another thing which though not mentioned here, basically one way you can see earlier there are a lot of closed economy. There are what do you call communism, which also did not allow exports much. So one way you can say this East European countries, especially, there is there are a lot of communist countries, including USSR. Huh? So once this collapse of communism, that also fueled a lot of international trade. Uh, so basically, what are the export import process? Is in very simple term, you register as an importer or exporter. Now the way it is written, you register as an exporter or importer, it may not be that easy, but anyway, it is not difficult also. So once you register as an exporter or importer, suppose you register as an exporter, then you negotiate terms of sale. Now negotiate terms of sale means later on you will see there are different terms of sale. Different terms of sale means you can sell in different ways. There are different say, how much you pay, where to deliver, how to deliver, all there are, who is going to pay the transport cost, etc., etc. So negotiate the terms of sale. Now, before negotiating the terms of sale, you have to find out the product which you are going to export, number one. Number two, and you have to also identify the countries where you can export. There are processes that we will discuss them later. So understand export formalities and responsibility towards the sale proceeds. Now there are a lot of formalities which you have to fulfill. It is not at all difficult. There are export promotion councils. So if you go to, apart from export, so there are a lot of other trade association also, and you can go to DGFT website. DGFT stands for Director General of Foreign Trade. You can go to DGFT website. You can go to Ministry of Commerce website. Rather, DGFT is under Ministry of Commerce only. So you can find out what are the formalities you need to fulfill. So, and India always, encourages exports. So, because we need foreign exchange, so that is why export procedures are comparatively simpler than the import. So, understand documentation and Incoterms. This Incoterms, which I was actually talking about, Incoterms means international commercial terms. That is, there are different terms, or there are different ways you can what do you call export. We'll discuss them later. All of them they'll come in the as a separate slide. So for export, complete customs formalities and obtain documents. So you have to obtain a document from the customs. That is, these are the formalities which you have fulfilled. Actually, a lot of ports they don't open your container also, because most of the cases there are different categories. We call it dry bulk. We call it break bulk. Say dry bulk is coal is dry bulk. Car is break bulk. But there are liquid, there is oil and other things, but there are a lot of things which we trade through containers. So most of the things, but nowadays a lot of ports like JNPT all they don't, the customs will not open your containers also. The containers will be scanned, and those scanners are very expensive. It can identify what you are exporting, actually sending. So anyway, then submit to the bank. You would actually, these things you don't have to do. There are people who will do it for you. Okay. Submit to the. In fact, if you see the volume wise, if you see the volume of total exports, the volume of exports MSME is not much. But if you see the number, the MSMEs will be about 90%, 80 to 90% of the exports are done by the MSMEs. Okay, but their volume is, because since they are MSMEs, their volume is less. Okay, so that is why it is very important. Submit to the bank for onward transmission to buyer. The process we will discuss with a document called letter of credit, and receive sale proceeds. So though it looks very simple, but it is not that simple. Again, it is not that complicated also. So we'll see what are the benefits of export, why India encourages you. First of all, increasing sales, which leads to increase in profits. So suppose your home market is, you cannot increase your sales, so that is why you tap a different market. More production leads to more economies of scale, so naturally your cost will come down. You can recover. In fact, you can export at a cheaper rate. So the reason is, suppose if you don't export, you can only tap your home market. So whatever fixed cost you incur, that can be absorbed by your home market. So only the variable cost plus a profit at that price you can charge. You can sell your product, because export market is very competitive. Exploring new market is always good. So as soon as you explore new market, you have a diversification of geographical risk. Suppose tomorrow anything happens to Indian market, or some other market where you are, which is your only market, or there is a recession in a particular market. So if you have another market where that can take care of this recession. Suppose tomorrow one particular product is not required, there is a substitute in India, but you have some stock. If you have another market, you can still sell the product there. It's like that. Adding foreign exchange, India is a country which lacks foreign exchange. We need foreign exchange because we spend a lot of foreign exchange for importing oil where we don't have a choice. We also receive export incentives, since government gives a lot of government encourages exports. Government gives a lot of export incentives. So this export incentive also will be discussing at the end. Gain new knowledge and experience. Whenever you go to a different market, you meet different people, you have different environment, you have different culture, so everything is new, so naturally you have different knowledge and experience. What are the challenges? The biggest challenge, if you see, is the country and political risk. In today's market, if you see, there are a lot of problems all over the world. As I have told you, Nigeria which is also a member of OPEC. Uh, it is the, though Nigeria doesn't have the highest proven reserve in the world, but the point is, it's an oil economy. It is the largest economy in Africa. Uh, but the problem is there are tremendous amount of political risk in. I will say political risk because all these things come under the head political risk. Africa, the biggest problem is the political risk. There are. It is not that all countries in Africa there are political risk, but there are many countries in Africa there are political risk. Okay, Libya, this is how the oil prices started, how it happened, why it had gone up to $117 a barrel, because there was a problem started in Libya. Now, when there's a problem started in Libya and Iran was under sanction, there are problem in Iraq, there are also problem in Nigeria, so there is a tremendous shortage of oil in the international market. So as a result, the oil prices started going up. So basically, unless you have a stable government, now do you think that there is political instability in US? No, it is an elected government. Whether you like Mr. Donald Trump or not is immaterial, because whatever newspaper we read in India, everybody says that the market has crashed due to because of Trump, and now everybody, whatever is happening, everybody is talking about only two things. One is the new American president, and the other is demonetization of 1,500 rupees. Now they are as if they are the only two problem in the country. There is no other problem. But anyway, I'm not going to that. But what I'm saying is, America has a stable government. It is an elected government, but there is no political risk there. But if you talk about Iraq, Syria, if you talk about Nigeria, or if you talk about many of the other African countries, there are tremendous amount of political risk. So how to analyze this country and political risk? We have one institute in India called ECGC, Export Trade Guarantee Corporation, which does this political country analysis and political analysis. However, ECGC is not the only institute. Earlier, it was the only institute, and ECGC also gives a lot of other support, especially to SMEs. but it also gives supports to others, that is banks and all. We'll do discuss some of the supports which are given by ECGC later. But what I'm saying is about Lloyd's is one which also does this country risk analysis as well as political risk. So similarly, there are a lot of other independent organization which does the country and political analysis. I can tell you about one incident in this regard. That is, what are the challenges? Acha, let me discuss the other part. Country and political risk talks about mainly the political situation, but there is another collection of payment. I'll come to that. So it is possible that there is no political risk in that particular country, but the country is not in a position to pay. I'll come to that. I just give currency risk. We'll discuss after this. Now, what do you mean by this collection of payment? Now, there is a country called Eritrea in Africa. Now, this country became independent in 1991. They were under Ethiopia. Now, once this country has become, it is one of the poorest country. But one of the its rank is probably seventh or eighth. But the country is full of natural resources. Wherever they have a lot of gold, they have a lot of potash. They also have a port, good port. But there is one airport. Egypt flies 4 days a year. What is it? They have one Eritrean Airlines which was leased to some other company, but they have only one aircraft, but they have stopped because they could not pay. Out of 100 rupees of trade, 95 rupees is import. And they are not bothered also because everything is state owned, even hospitals, everything is state owned. Country is peaceful now. There is no, as such, there is no political problem. They have an election commission, but till after 1991, there is no election. I had visited that country. I have seen only one person with an arm, that is just outside the president's house. Now, but the problem is they cannot pay. Why they cannot pay? They don't have dollar because their currency is called NACFA. Okay. Now they want to do law. They want to import from India. In fact, as soon as we had gone there to increase there. It's the government of India initiative. Now, in 2011, when Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, he had gone to Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia, and there was an agreement that is government of India will go for capacity development program in the African countries. What is the purpose of this? We will build their capacity in which they can trade with India. That is, whatever is not available in India, we can import from them. And main purpose was not import, main purpose was export to those countries. Now the point is Exim Bank, which also will also discuss certain things about Exim Bank. Now they had given, five gold mines on lease, four to Chinese companies and one to an Indian company. Now the point is, Indian company failed. The company which forgot the name, it felt that this country will not be able to pay them in dollars, so it ran away. Exim Bank wanted to fund them. Exim Bank means Export Import Bank of India. I'm talking about, there are a lot of Exim Bank in other countries also. Like many countries have Export Import Bank. I'm talking about Exim Bank India, which funds foreign projects also. But the point is, Exim Bank asked for a guarantee from the Central Bank of Eritrea that the payment will be made. But Central Bank of Eritrea is nothing but what you see Reserve Bank of India in India. So Central Bank of India failed to give the guarantee that they will be able to make the payment in dollar. So this is what is called collection of problem of payment. Okay. Now it is also possible, suppose you have exported goods to a country, there is no political instability, but suddenly there is a civil war. Because in African countries there are a lot of civil wars which you see in the newspaper or which you can read. So and there are a lot of ethnic wars also. They fought a lot of ethnic wars. That is why sometimes it becomes a problem. Suppose there is nothing, but suddenly it starts. So that is also a collection problem. So we have discussed currency and political risk. We have discussed collection of payments. So let me tell you, all these things can be taken care of. It is not, that does not mean you will not export. Customers in Italy required oil-free components due to European norms. Shipping days 45 to 50 days. Now, days component getting rusty. How we can overcome this, and is there any such customer to get idea? Just 1 minute. Let me check. Get idea from them. Please reply this very big problem for our customer. Just once again, let me go to the customer in Italy required oil-free components due to European norms. Fine, we know that. Shipping days 45 to 50 days. It takes 45 to 50 days to go to Italy. Anyway, now our days component getting rusty, how we can overcome this, and is there any such customer to get idea from them? Please reply this very big problem for our customer. Well, of course, this is a technical problem. Technical problem means whether if you can reduce your shipping days from 45 to 50 days to slightly less, so naturally some problem will be solved. That is one part, and the other part it is why it is getting rusty and how to overcome that. That is a technical issue which I will not be able to answer. But of course, this can be solved. I think you can discuss this issue with the trade associations. You definitely have a trade association in this particular thing, and this is absolutely a technical problem. I am not an expert on this particular rusty part. That is whether how the components are getting rust and all those things. That part I will not be able to tell you. So sorry here, but the point is this is a problem which probably can be solved. It is not a very difficult problem. Okay. Anyway, if you can keep on asking questions, there is no problem. Let me come to the another major thing that is called currency risk. Just currency risk means basically when you have a exchange rate fluctuation. Now, as an exporter, if rupee depreciate, what do you mean by depreciation of rupee? So basically, suppose today $1 is equal to 67 rupees, tomorrow $1 becomes 68 rupees. So that is what is called depreciation of rupee. And what is appreciation of rupee? So suppose today $1 is 67, tomorrow $1 becomes 66. So that is what is called appreciation of rupee. Now, as an exporter, if rupee depreciates, it's good for you. But there is no guarantee that rupee will always depreciate. But because today, if you export for $1 million, $1 million will be if at today's price it will be 67 million rupees. But suppose by the time you receive the payment of $1 million, rupee becomes 68. So instead of 67 million rupees, you will be getting 68 million rupees. So instead of due to the foreign currency fluctuation, you earn 1 million rupees extra. But it sounds very good. It can be other way around also. Rupee can appreciate. So how to avoid this? Now the point is your business is not to make money out of rupee depreciation. Your business is something else. You are exporting something. So in the process, if you earn anything extra due to that is fine. But your concern should be managing this risk. So there are different techniques of managing this currency risk, which will also come later. We'll discuss. So this is known as forward contract, which is very popular. Forward, future, options, etc. We'll be discussing some of them later. So we have discussed the first 3 points. Venturing into new market leads to extra cost. So when you export to other countries, so naturally it's a new market. As just now somebody asked this question, as per European norms, you have to deliver them oil-free items. So naturally it needs some extra cost. So whenever you are entering into different markets, every country has some norms. So Japan is very strict about the food items. So sometimes we will see, in fact, for a lot of many years, mango export to US was stopped. This time again we have started. So when you venture into a different market, naturally, what they have different, things like just now the somebody asked this question. European norms are different, so naturally it sometimes it leads to extra cost and product modification to suit the international standards. Of course, this is also all these two are almost same, but but there are two. This is also a big challenge. What is the Indian scenario? Acha, uh, yeah. First of all, what are the geographical trade patterns? Developed countries account for the bulk of world trade, largest exporters and largest importers. So, and mostly the developed countries, they primarily trade with each other because they have their standards, and that is why we have European Union. They trade among themselves maximum. Developing countries rely on developed countries for their export markets because we would normally export to developed market. If you see, India is number one in voice in the sense. What do you mean by that? As far as ITES services are concerned, we are number one. So, but we mainly export to developed countries, not the developing countries. That does not mean we don't export anything to the developing countries, because now few minutes back when you started, I said that Tata Steel is one of the, it has one of its biggest market is Bangladesh. It exports a huge amount of steel to Bangladesh, so one of the biggest market. So that is why I'm not saying that we don't export to developing markets, but just we export more to the developed countries. What is the Indian scenario? Traditionally, India followed import substitution industrialization strategies since independence. Basically, it was an import substitution. Okay, no special thrust on export initially. Began to change from 1980s and then gathered momentum since 1991 because the process of liberalization started in 1991. Though India was a founder member of GATT and also WTO, but India was, and it also actively participated in the WTO negotiations, but there was not much of thrust on export. Special and differential treatment is a major success created primarily to India. Also, India did not take interest in regional groupings until even a decade back, unlike other countries. What do you mean by regional groupings? Like Eurozone, like ASEAN, like NAFTA. So these are the these are called regional trade agreements. Like, in fact, we have bilateral trade agreements also between two countries. Okay, so over the years, by mid 1990s, tariff on most products were subsequently reduced by major countries under GATT and WTO. As I have told you, that is earlier, long back, people used to, they mainly used to concentrate on tariff by uh, how to get buyer. I'll come to you. How to get buyer? I'll come to you. That is, it is not that easy. It is not that difficult. Also, don't worry. It will automatically come. Uh, however, WTO negotiations is just let me go through this very fast, because then we'll come back to your questions and all. WTO negotiations hit a dead end over disagreements between developed and developing countries. Every time there is a negotiation, WTO meeting, you see there are issues between developed and developing countries, especially non-agricultural tariff, environment, labor subsidy, etc. So in fact, there are US says that will keep on giving subsidy if they give subsidy to the agricultural products. So our um, product, they cannot compete with the developed market. So anyway, so there is still a lot of disagreement between the developed and developing nations. So India then turned more towards regional grouping. Regional grouping, as I have told you, that is bilateral agreement, as well as like ASEAN is one, that is Sri Lanka, Singapore, with Sri Lanka, Singapore, Chile is called SAFTA. SAFTA is South American. These are all it was negotiating with Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, European Union, New Zealand. Some it is already completed. Some it is still negotiation is going on. So most of these agreements go much beyond bilateral tariff reduction and include services, investments, etc. Uh, Before going to international for a company, just let me answer this question. How to get the buyer? I am having IEC number. I am trying for buyer through friends and internet, but still no success. What do you produce? The point is, each and every country, the embassy has a trade officer. Okay, so you can go to this trade officer. You can also go to the. You can. We also collect information from DGCIS. You can also collect information from DGCIS. You can also go to the website of ECGC, which country they do country analysis, etc., etc. But for the product wise, you can also inquire in different what do you call which country needs what. There are different. You can give a search. Of course, there are agencies which, of course, I'm sorry, trade associations like FIO. There are other trade association. I'm sure you are also member of some trade association. You can find out what are the countries where your product is required. But as soon as you find out that this country needs this particular product, that does not mean you will be able to export in that particular country. There are each and every country has some norms, as we have discussed few minutes back, that European Union has a particular norm. Similarly, there are every country has a particular norm. Don't think that if it is an African country or if it is a developing country, it doesn't have any norm. Many of the African countries, they are, many ways they are ahead of India. Next question is, for a company registered as a trading firm in India, first stage dealer, how is it possible to supply to 100% export oriented units manufacturers located in India and claim benefits of exports on inputs, taxes, duties, and others? So you are asking questions which I will discuss later. Okay, why don't you, Rahul? I believe if you wait for some time, we can answer this. We'll discuss these questions, because in that case, I'll have to skip some now, go to the later slides. So just wait for some time. Probably these questions will be discussed. Okay. So international commercial terms, popularly known as Incoterms. So basically, if you see, these are the different Incoterms. I don't know, because I have in one slide I have kept everything. So any transport mode is, if you see, X factory, FCA, the EXW stands for X works. FCA stands for free carrier, FA stands for free alongside ship, FOB stands for free on board, CFR stands for cost and freight. So everything has a meaning. Now, why these are called international commercial terms? When you enter into an agreement with the, so when you are exporting, or even if you import, when you enter into an agreement with the other party, that is opposite party. Suppose we are giving more thrust on exports, so I am talking from the exporter's point of view. When you will be entering into a contract with other party, uh, who will pay what? So everything is written here. If you see charges and fees, these are the things. So whenever you enter into an agreement, what is the difference? There are two questions. Uh, Let me take this question. What is the difference between CIF and DAP terms? Acha. If it is CIF, cost, insurance, and freight, and the other one you said is DAP. DAP is delivered at place. Here, everything is mentioned. So, if you see, the difference between CIF and DAP is, in case of CIF, the destination terminal charges will be paid by buyer. delivery to destination is paid by buyer, import duty and taxes will be paid by buyer. In case of DAP, only the import duty and taxes will be paid by buyer, all other expenses will be paid by seller. Okay. Next one is, what is the difference between deemed and 100% export unit, and how are benefits different for this, for the seller? Now 100% deemed export is when it is out of SEZ, it is called deemed export. Sometimes it is called deemed export, and different benefits at this moment I will not, I don't remember exactly, but sometimes there are differences between exports and deemed export. Okay, so when you because normal course you cannot sell out from the in the local market out of an SEZ. Okay, so when you sell to the SEZ, which because they buy raw material from others, so that can be considered as a deemed export. I'm not sure at this moment. I'm not sure at this moment, but it's like that only. Okay, yeah, you can give a search. You can find out the difference between deemed export and export. Anyway, these are the different. These are called international commercial terms, which are accepted all over the world. All over the world means whether you trade with Spain, whether you trade with Italy, or whether you trade with Zimbabwe or Burkina Faso, whatever is the country, the international commercial terms are same. And another thing, let me also tell you at this moment, these international commercial terms are given by ICC, International Chamber of Commerce. Incidentally, the present chairman of International Chamber of Commerce is an Indian. He is Mr. Sunil Bharati Mittal. He is the present chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce. Request is to mail your presentation to Rahul Kumar. Okay, my presentation is with them, so you can take the presentation. There is once the session is over, you ask the presentation from them. It is, you will get the presentation. It is, there is nothing hide and seek. You can use it. There is no problem. Anyway, let me complete the remaining part. So international commercial terms, basically what does it? International commercial terms are a series of predefined commercial terms published by the International Chamber of Commerce, widely used in international commercial transactions. It defines the trade contract. What do you mean by trade contract? That is on what terms. Now let me tell you. I'll go to the page again. It defines the trade contract, responsibility and liabilities between the buyer and the seller. These terms make international trade easier and help traders in different countries to understand the responsibilities and rights of the buyers and sellers. So when buyer and seller enter into an agreement, if they say that I'm going to use DAP and not CIF, so it is clear who is going to pay what expenses. Now, at what terms you will be entering into the contract, that depends upon a lot of things. Now, don't think that as a seller, DDP is the worst, because if you see DDP, that is delivery duty paid, DDP, everything is paid by seller. Everything is paid by seller means as an exporter you have to pay all the expenses. Now, is that bad? Is that good? It is not the case. You have to remember one thing: where your total landed cost is cheapest. Landed cost means from your door to the purchaser's door, where it is cheapest. Now that should not be the only criteria. Why that should not be the only criteria? Suppose you get a carrier which is going to carrier means either a shipper or an aircraft which is going to carry your goods. Now, sometimes we always think about, receiving the goods late is bad. Definitely. Suppose I need the goods today. If I receive it tomorrow, it is bad. Definitely, I need it today. But that does not mean if I receive it one day early, it is always good, because I have to store the goods. Forget about that. I just give you a simple example. Your friend's birthday is tomorrow. Can you send him or her the bouquet today? No. So the point is, there are cases where you need the goods must reach to the purchaser's place on time. On time means on that particular day and particular designated date and designated time. So reaching early is also, it can also become a problem. Now another very important thing, as I've told you, we normally see, that is where the uh, total landed cost is least. That is the most important thing. At the same time, we also need to remember that it must reach on time. There are various agencies involved in exports, and a lot of your queries which you had earlier will be answered by them. DGFT is Director General of Foreign Trade. You have to get your license from this Director General of Foreign Trade. So excise, every goods produced out of your factory, you have to pay excise. Now, for many cases, when you export goods, you are exempted from paying excise. So banks, you get credit as well as guarantee, and there is something called a letter of credit that also is issued through bank. Customs, you have to pay duty, clear immigration. Sometimes you get a duty drawback. Concord is basically a Container Corporation of India. That is because that is one Government of India enterprise. But apart from that, there are a lot of other companies which supply containers. Through containers, we supply goods. ICDs or IFCs is basically, it's a freight station. Apart from port, there are other freight terminal station or container depots. They are called inland container depots, sometimes called international container depots. Sometimes IFS stands for international or internal freight station, also called CFS, container freight station. In Durgapur we have one. In West Bengal, in Durgapur we have one. So there containers are stored, and from there it goes to port and all. So it is an intermediate inland storage. Port, it can be a seaport, it can be an airline, but port is definitely a very one of the major thing. Now port, there are a lot of port procedures you have to fulfill. Port is a highly secured area. So you can also send your goods through what you call shipping, through airline. So it can be a shipping or line, or it can be an airline through which you ECGC, Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. They do a lot of things, especially for SMEs. They have a special SME sector also. One of them is they give credit insurance. Okay, they also insure your payment. That is, suppose you export, as I have told you, suppose you have exported goods to a country, and suddenly there is no problem in that country, and suddenly there is a civil war started. So naturally there is no guarantee that you will get the payment. So what you do, the ECGC will give you the guarantee that you receive the payment. EPC is Export Promotion Council. You will get export assistance. So there are a lot of export promotion councils. Somebody asked a question, that is how to get the market, how to find the buyer. So these export promotion councils will give you which country needs which product. See, we also do a lot of studies. We also do a lot of studies, means which country does what. You can go to DGFT for DGFT not only give license, you will also get a lot of information from DGFT also. DGCIS is one area which provides a lot of data. And as I have told you, that is in 2011, Government of India has, that is when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister in Addis Ababa, he made a commitment that Government of India will go for capacity development program. and there are a lot of capacity development program done by India in Africa in order to boost their international trade. Now, the point is, what is India's benefit? Why we are spending so much of money in Africa? Because unless we educate them, that the unless we can tell them the importance of what do you call importance of international trade, then they will not be interested in international. I just give you an example of this. The country I'm talking about, I myself had gone to Eritrea. So we, from our side, we have given all the participants one bag. Now, let me tell you, at this stage, in Eritrea, they produce one of the finest leather in the world. There, because it was, let me also tell you, it was an Italian colony once, but they produce all of the fine, but they don't have the quality of raw leather is very rich, but they don't have the expertise to convert them into finished leather. So what they do, they export raw leather, but they import finished product, because their finished product is also not that good. So the bags which we have given them, so they liked those bags. So by the time, because we had a stopover at Cairo, so by the time we finished the program and reached Cairo, we received a mail that one of the participants, he is an exporter of raw leather. Just try to understand. He is an exporter of raw leather. He wanted to buy 1,000 pieces of those bags. So that was our purpose. Basic idea is you need to find out, but at the same time, you need to also see, because as I have told you about this particular country, Eritrea, uh, they also have a problem of this thing. What do you call payment? Because they don't have dollar. It is one of the poorest country, as I have told you, in the world. Similarly, if you, as I have told you, there are a lot of customers you will find in African countries, Burkina Faso. You will find a lot of, but they are very poor. Um, but among the Africa, now Africa is an untapped market, and as I have told you, so, that is to find the, you can always get in touch with the every, as I have told you, every embassy has a trade officer, so he can tell you, he can, because we find out from them, we find out from DGCIS. DGCIS offices, in Kolkata, we have this DGCIS offices near Ruby Hospital. So you get information from DGCIS. There are a lot of other agencies also which give information, but they charge, they will take money. They are paid agency. Bloomberg terminal, which is also very expensive. Bloomberg terminal, they are also, you will get a lot of information about which country, what are your export potential. These are the things. There are MSME centers. Indian Institute of Foreign Trade has an MSME center. So in MSME centers, you get a lot of informations about prospective buyers who can buy your product. So and apart from that, just wait for sometimes where you can get the informations that I tell you also. A little bit about exchange risk, because whenever you enter into enter into an international trade, there are two, if you ask me, the most two important risks involved. One is a payment risk, one is an exchange risk. So both can be, mitigated. Both can be mitigated. Now, that is what I am saying. There is, there are risk involved, but you can mitigate the risk. So what is this exchange risk? As I have told you, that is foreign exchange risk arises due to the fluctuation in the exchange rate between two countries. So when you are an exporter, today $1 is equal to 67 rupees. Tomorrow, if $1 becomes 68, you gain. But if $1 becomes 65, you lose a lot of money. In fact, what we find is, especially applicable for MSMEs, what we find is whenever there is a chance that rupee will depreciate, none of the exporters, they hedge their risk. And Reserve Bank of India, they also sometimes also give, they shout, they give public advertisement that please hedge your risk, hedge your risk, hedge your risk. Because for example, what is happening now is due to the demonetization of 1,500 rupee as notes, as well as the American election. Indian rupee is, since the market is unstable, Indian rupee is constantly depreciating, more or less, except 1 or 2 days. Now all the exporters, what they are doing, they are keeping their position open. That is, suppose you have exported goods for say $10,000, and suppose you will be receiving the money after some time. So why you are keeping it open? Because you estimate that rupee will depreciate further, you will get more money. But let me tell you, at the same time, suddenly it can appreciate also. So this is a risk. Your business is not to make money out of exchange rate fluctuation. So your business is something else. So first thing what you should do, you should concentrate there and forget about this exchange rate risk. So that is why you should hedge your risk. So how to hedge your currency risk? So there are different hedging options. The most useful one, or the most used one all over the world, is called a forward contract. What is this forward contract? Suppose today you exchange, today you export, you will be receiving the payment say after 1 month. So after 1 month, suppose you don't know what will be the rate. Suppose today $1 is equal to 67. So there is a forward market. You go to your bank, you tell your bank that I want to exchange this risk. I will be receiving, explain hedging. Hedging is, yeah, I'm doing that only. Explain hedging and who are the agencies which can help in hedging. Okay. The biggest agency with whom you can hedge is your bank. Suppose you will be receiving money after, you will be receiving the payment after 1 month. So after 1 month, today $1 is equal to 67. After 1 month, $1 can become 68. You gain money. You gain money means $10,000. Today will be 10,000 into 67. That is 6,67,000 rupees. But after 1 month, it will become 6,80,000 rupees. But is that good? The answer is no. Because after 1 month, it can be 66 rupees also. In that case, you will be losing money. So you go to your bank, like you have a spot rate, that is today $1 is equal to say 67. So there is a forward rate also. So what is this forward rate? The contract will be made today. That is, you enter into an agreement with your bank. That is, after 1 month, you will be delivering your bank $10,000, and how much against this, how much money will be delivered by your bank to you. That is, at what exchange rate the bank is going to buy $10,000 from you. That will be determined today. So this is what is called a forward contract. I repeat, the contract will be made today, but the delivery of goods and the payment for, what is the goods here? $10,000. And what is the payment for goods? Payment for goods you will be receiving in rupees. So the delivery of goods and the payment for goods will take place on a future date. I repeat once again, uh, the contract will be made today, but the delivery of goods and the payment for goods will be done on a future date. That is what is called a forward contract. With whom you enter into a forward contract? You normal, there are dealers. Corporates can directly enter into a forward contract with the bank. Corporate is big corporates. Tata Steel has a treasury division. So Tata Steel, this treasury division, they do their forward contract. But for an SME, it is always advisable that you go to a bank, go to your bank and enter into a forward contract. Okay. Future contract is an exchange traded contract, like you have a stock exchange, where in case of a forward contract, it ends with delivery of goods and payment for goods. That is, after 1 month, you will be delivering $10,000 and you will be receiving 10,000 into, and whatever is the agreement. Suppose today the rate is 67, you enter into an agreement with your bank that your bank is going to pay you per dollar, your bank is going to pay you 66.9. Okay, so how much money you will be getting after 1 month? 66.9 into 10,000, that is 6,69,000 rupees. Now, point is, after 1 month, irrespective of the exchange rate on that day, suppose today is 22nd of November, you enter into a 1 month contract, 1 month forward contract. After 1 month, that is 22nd of December, $1 is equal to 70 rupees, or $1 is equal to 65 rupees. Irrespective of this rate, you will be delivering $10,000 to your banker, and your bank is going to deliver you for each dollar 66.9 for which you have entered into the contract into 10,000. So that is what is called a forward contract. I believe this is clear, Mr. Gupta. Yeah. So another type of contract almost similar to forward contract is called a future contract, but with some extra features. What do you mean by with some extra features? Because in case of a forward contract, it is a bilateral contract between buyer and seller. But in case of a future contract, it is a trilateral contract, or it is an exchange trade. These are all called derivatives. Derivatives means the value of which is derived from another underlying asset. What is the underlying asset? The spot price. And these are all future prices. So future contract is basically you enter into the contract today. The delivery of goods and payment for goods will take place on a future date, but it is a trilateral contract. In this, normally there is no default in the forward market, because whenever you enter into a forward contract, your bank, if your bank does not know you, bank will keep some deposits, and normally the banks, they do not run away. But if it is between you and me, anybody can run away. Okay, so but in case of a future contract, you and me, we cannot enter into a future contract. It has to be through an exchange. So if I want to buy foreign exchange, I have to buy from the stock exchange. If I want to sell foreign exchange, I have to sell it in the stock exchange. Basic idea here is the exchange is giving counterparty guarantee to both the buyer as well as seller. So if there is a default, normally there is no default, because both the buyer and seller, they will have to keep margin money with the exchange, so they cannot run away. Even if they run away, the exchange will honor the contract, and suppose the buyer runs away, the exchange will honor the contract, and it will buy from the seller. Similarly, if the seller runs away, exchange will deliver the goods to the buyer and receive the money. Anyway, future contract, you can enter into future contract. You can also speculate in the future contract in the stock exchange. But forward contract, you need an underlying. What do you mean by you need an underlying? That is, unless you export or import, that is, unless you have a document, you cannot enter into a forward contract. However, the FEDI, Federation of Exporters Dealers Association of India, they have got a permission, like if you are an importer or an exporter, 25% of the last 3 years average turnover you can hedge without any underlying. What do you mean by that? Suppose today you are negotiating with a party, and today $1 is equal to 67. So by the time you are awarded the contract, because negotiating with the party means, suppose you are negotiating the rate. Now when you negotiate the rate, normally you negotiate the rate on the negotiate the rate means negotiate the rate of the goods which will be sold. It is on the basis of the current exchange rate. So but by the time you are awarded the contract, the exchange rate has already changed. So you might lose money. So that is why FEDI has given the permission to rather RBI gives permission to the members of FEDI, that is, you can enter into a forward contract on the basis of 25% of your last 3 years average turnover without an underlying. Anyway, don't get into this as an MSME. If I understand correctly, most of the people who are attending are MSME. So, as an MSME, don't get into this unnecessary risk, because this is a very critical and difficult area. A lot of people made a lot of money on this foreign exchange transactions. Similarly, a lot of people have lost a lot of money in this foreign exchange transaction. In fact, they are called derivative. There are formal definition I have told you, that is the value of which is derived from another underlying asset. But let me also tell you, there is one professor of London Stock Exchange. She says derivatives are like razors with which you can shave and look beautiful, with which you can also commit suicide. There is a famous movie, Warren Buffett, the second richest man, but now he is not the second probably, but he definitely comes within the first 4 or 5. So Warren Buffett once says that derivatives are financial weapons for mass distractions in the hands of few derivatives dealer. In fact, the 2008 financial crisis, it is basically due to these derivative products. Another thing which I can tell you, you can see one famous movie called Rogue Trader. This there was a person called Nick Leeson. This due to this person, there is a bank called Bank of Bearings. We used to call it Queen's Bank. That is, Queen Elizabeth used to keep her belonging in this bank. So this Bank of Bearings had gone into liquidation due to the rogue trading of this person called Nick Leeson. So there are a lot of ups and downs. So initially, I always suggest everybody, that is, don't get into this unnecessary hassles. Leave it to the bankers. This hedging part, you concentrate in your own business. So similarly, there is another derivative product called option contract, which says where you have to, it is like mediclaim, that is, you pay a premium, and if you are hospitalized, then you will be reimbursed by the insurance company. So similarly, suppose today $1 is equal to 67, and you there are two kinds of option. One is called a call option, one is called a pull option. So buyer put option. So buyer of a call option has the right to buy, but he does not have the obligation to buy. I repeat, buyer of a call option has the right to buy, but he doesn't have the obligation to buy. What does it mean? That is, suppose I buy a call option to that is of $10,000 at a strike price of 67. Okay, and it is for 1 month. So irrespective of the price after 1 month, I have the right to buy at 67, but I don't have the obligation to buy at 67. So after 1 month, if the price of $1 is 68 rupees, I will exercise my right and I will buy at the price of 67. But however, if the price in the market after 1 month is 66, I will not buy from the seller. I'll buy it from the market, because if I buy from the seller, I'll have to pay 67 rupees. But if I buy from the market, I'll be paying 66 rupees. So I will allow the contract to expire. So, but since I have the right, I'm buying this right, I'll be paying a premium, which is also called option price, to the seller. Similarly, put option, if I buy a put option, I have the right to sell. You might have a question, that is, how come the buyer has the right to sell? Now here buyer means buyer of the put option. So buyer of the put option has the right to sell, but doesn't have the obligation to sell. Anyway, option is a difficult product. There are different ways you can use this. We can have a separate session only on exchange rate risk, how to manage. These are the popular method, and there is a new concept which banks are selling to the MSMEs. That is, which is called zero cost option, where your entire risk is not hedged, but it's substantial portion of your risk is hedged by buying and selling many options. So that has also become very popular among the. Now we must discuss something about ECGC, Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of India Limited. Just 1 minute. This ECGC plays a very important role for the promotion of export in India. Uh, they give a lot of facilities. Most important facility they give is insurance, export credit insurance facilities to exporters as well as banks in India. Like suppose you have taken a loan from a bank now for the purpose of export, but you become a defaulter. Bank can export this credit through ECGC. So ECGC is giving insurance facilities to exporters as well as banks in India to promote and improve the export competitiveness of Indian exporters. As I have told you, that is, suppose you have exported goods and suppose there is there is no guarantee that you will receive the payment. You can insure this with ECGC. Which country to export? You don't know what is the country risk. ECGC will do the country analysis, country risk analysis. In fact, they are the, as I've told you, there are a lot of Lloyd's also does country risk analysis. But Lloyd's is one agency that is which comes to my mind. That is why I'm telling you. Lloyd's means Lloyd Insurance. They also give the credit insurance facilities which ECEC. ECEC gives it in India. So similarly, there are other agencies which are doing this same kind of business in other countries. Lloyd's, as I've told you earlier, it was only ECEC. Now it is there are a lot of other insurance companies. Lloyd's is one of the, as I've told you, it is one of the renowned international firm which is also doing the same kind of business in India. Over the years, it has evolved various export credit risk insurance products. Various means different kind. You can buy a comprehensive policy which will cover everything, all the risk. Or you can buy separate policies. Suppose you don't need a particular policy, so you can, they can make tailor-made policies for you, etc., etc. And of course, the most important thing, they also give a lot of other services. What are the services they provide? Provides credit risk covers to exporters against non-payment risk of the overseas buyers. Just now I have told you that is, suppose you have exported goods, but there is a chance that you may not receive the payment. So they will ensure that buyers country in respect of the exports made, provides credit insurance covers to banks against lending risk to exporters. Suppose you are an exporter and you have taken a loan from the bank, and bank can buy a policy from ECEC. That is, in case you don't pay to the bank, ECEC will pay to the bank. Assessment of buyers for the purpose of underwriting. That is, buyers means whom you are selling goods, they will assess them. That is whether what is the credit worthiness of your customers. That is when you are exporting goods, what is the credit worthiness of your customer. Preparation of country reports. This is probably the most important thing which you can get from ECs apart from the insurance, because some of you have already asked me this question: how to find out the country, how to find out the buyer, how to find out the credit worthiness of the country, etc., etc. International experience to enhance Indian capabilities. They will also assist you. That is, what all things you should do in order to boost your export. And it is an ISO organization excelling in credit insurance services. Some product offered to exporters. If you go to the website of ECBC, you will find plenty of products which are offered to the offered by ECEC. But these are some of the products. I have just pointed out some. One is the standard policy, small exporters policy, especially applicable for SMEs, specific shipment policy, short term, export turnover policy, specific buyer wise policy, consignment export policy, global entity policy. There's some single buyer exposure policy, multi buyer exposure policy, software project, etc., etc. So these are some of the, and last one, if you see, last two, one is SME policy, one is customer specific policy, tailor made. That is, you go to, I want this thing, so naturally they will make a policy for you. So anyway, there are a lot of other things. Export Import Bank also plays a very important role. Now they not only fund exporters, they also fund importers. But here, as we are discussing, we are mainly concentrating on export. So what is this Export Import Bank of India? They in international trade, they do financing, they do promoting, and they also facilitate through variety of financing programs, value-added business and advisory services, and research and analysis. So one thing you can make out that there are a lot of reports which Exim Bank publishes. You can go to the website of Exim Bank. So starting from what is India's GDP, which are the countries where India exports most, which are the country like trade inflows as well as trade outflows. That is the countries from which India import, the countries where most of the Indian exports are going, all are there in the website of Exim Bank. What is the volume? What is the number? What are the product wise? Everything will get from the Export Import Bank. Okay, and they will also give you a lot of advices. They will fund you variety of financing programs, value-added business advisory services, research and analysis. Now, this research and analysis, they also collect data from DGCIAS in Kolkata, as I've told you. In fact, DGCIAS will get a lot of data. And another very important thing is they once they get data, those are raw data. Now they do a lot of research and they will come out in the form of report. Okay. So what are the countries? In fact, there are a lot of models which are developed in trade. Okay, models which are developed in that in trade means who are your prospective buyers and who are your prospective sellers product wise. This can be done with the help of different trade models. Okay, they do a lot of other agencies do that. I also do that, but here what I'm trying to say is this is the one organization where you will get a lot of information. They also finance projects, products, as well as services. Now, projects are big things, so naturally, I'm not going to that. So, what are the range of products and services of ECGC at all stage of export business cycle? So, it can be pre-shipment, it can be post-shipment, it can be investment abroad. You want to invest abroad, that is, investment abroad means projects, advisory services, and on the other hand, as I've told you, import. They also do import financing, export product development, export production, export marketing. So everything they do. Somebody asked me a question, that is how to find a buyer. You can go to Exim Bank. They will, of course, they will charge a fee. You can find your, you know, prospective customers. Now, I started when I started. Most of the cases, it is found that we export developing or emerging markets. They export to the developed markets. Now, the point is, you must have noticed, or you must be aware of the fact that developed markets are now has become stagnant. There is no growth in Japan. America is going at a very slow pace. European means I'm talking about the Western European market, which is developed. They are also going at a very slow rate or negative growth. So whom to export? As I've told you, that is now everybody has taken on look Africa policy, that is including India, that is you export to these Latin American countries as well as Africa. Why Latin American countries? That is also, no, Brazil is doing well. Exporting to Latin American countries also it is not that easy, because Latin American countries there are a lot of commodities. Venezuela has the though they are not the biggest exporter of oil, but the proven reservoirs Venezuela is number one. Even they are ahead of Saudi Arabia. Proven reservoirs. But anyway, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, they export a lot of commodities, and they are in trouble because all over the world commodity prices have crashed. So anyway, so not only Latin America, we are now. So that is why now everybody is concentrating on Africa. Though Africa also produces a lot of commodities, but still, so which market to explore? Exim Bank can give you suggestion. Okay, so that is why it is given advisory services, knowledge building. Like suppose you don't know what all things you need to do to, because there are a lot of documentation in export, and if you don't know, there are a lot of agencies they can take you for a ride. Documentation means starting from as I've told you, who all agencies, customs clearance, getting a license from DGFT. Then there is something called certificate of origin. Certificate of origin means from you are manufacturing a product. This product is manufactured from India. So who gives this certificate of origin? In India, FIO. FIO will give you this certificate of origin. Okay, so similarly, there are a lot of trade associations which are important, and they are involved in this particular international trade. So Exim Bank will definitely give you a lot of information in this. So they have they are financing programs. So you can go through it. Export credit, they give medium to long term lines of credit, buyers credit, suppliers credit, short term pre-shipment and post-shipment credit. And for import credit, import loan for capital goods, that is very important because we import a lot of machineries, bulk import loan for raw materials. And for exporting units, term loans for expansion, diversification, new projects, export product and development, export marketing, research and development, term loans for overseas equity investment, direct equity stake in Indian overseas ventures of exporting companies, etc. etc. So there are many ways you can get finance from Exim Bank. Okay. Now we have around half an hour, slightly less than half an hour. If I start payment terms and UCP 600 now, there are around 50-60 slides here. So instead, let me payment terms and let me just give you a briefing. Payment terms and UCP 600 means how to, because the most two difficult part in international trade is one is exchange rate risk and the other is this receiving the payment. So over the year, there are different. We have developed different methods for payment. So if we have time, we'll come back to this. That is how to make your payment easier. Because what is the trade dilemma? Dilemma is who is an importer. He will like to receive the goods first and make the payment later. The exporter, he will definitely like to receive the payment first and then ship the goods. So, but both the cases there are risk involved. Risk involved means importer, suppose after receiving the goods he doesn't make the payment. Similarly, exporter after receiving the payment, suppose he does not ship the goods. So, how do you solve this problem? So this problem is solved mainly with the help of some international banks and a mechanism called LC, letter of credit. Okay, letter of credit. Apart from letter of credit, there are other instruments also. So everything is given in the slide. I believe slide will be mailed to you. But before that, I was also told to explain some of the incentives which are given to exporters and importers. I am directly going to those exporter and importer, the incentives which are going to exporter, which are given to exporter importer quickly, because we don't have much time. So these we can do. I can if we have later on we have any class, we can do these payment terms as well as some of the methods. But let me quickly go through the what all other things we can. Uh, I will give you my mail ID also. So in case you can, if you want, you can mail me also. So uh, here ends your payment terms. These are certain things. But here, what are the export incentives which you have? I think in between there are some questions. Let me see this question. Can you please send? Can you please send me link of this covering along with slides too? You need to contact them. Okay. Oh, this is I think already done. This is already done. So this is the where you will get this thing. But let me tell you this. The slides you will, I believe you get. There is nothing from my side. Anyway, we can always later on also we can discuss. But what are the export incentives? Now, to start with, like government of India gives lot of export incentives. One is called SI. This is not given to exporter. This is given to state, in which state can develop the encourage exporters. State can develop an infrastructure for exporter. So assistant to states for aside full form is assistant to states for developing export infrastructure and allied activities. Okay, that is what is called for what are the reasons for which it is given? It is given for setting up export infrastructure, including SEZ also. Huh? Electronic facilities, minor infrastructure like roads connecting to ports and minor jetties and common affluent treatment plant, etc., stabilizing power supply. So, for example, there is West Bengal, there is one, leather technology park. Now, you need a common affluent treatment plant. Okay, so that can be developed with the help of this. common power supply, stabilizing power supply, for meeting capital outlay or EPZs and SEZs, as I've told you, for developing this also you need, for taking equity stake in relevant infrastructure projects, including establishment of SEZs. The objective of this scheme is to establish a mechanism for involving the state governments to participate in funding of infrastructure critical for growth of export by providing export performance linked financial assistance to them. Now, as I've told you, why I have included this, because this can be claimed by the state government, not by others. So, if state government does it, any state, if the state government gets this funding, they can develop an infrastructure, okay, which is required for export. What is this market access initiative? Under market access initiative scheme, financial assistance is provided for export promotion activities on focus country, focus product basis. What do you mean by focus country? Suppose India is now focusing on Africa. India is now focusing for promotion of, say, export of, say, textiles. So product basis. So financial, you will get what all product, you will get a list if you go to the website of this a DGFT or Ministry of Commerce and Ministry of Textiles. You will get a list of that. Financial assistance is available for Export Promotion Council. So you have different export promotion, like industry and trade association, agencies of state government, Indian commercial mission abroad, and other national level institutions, eligible entities as may be notified. Okay. So a whole range of activities can be funded under AMAI. These include, amongst others, market product studies. Suppose you want to study a market. Suppose export promotion councils, they want to study a particular market, whether this market is conducive or this market is good for a particular product or not. Similarly, whether this product can be exported or not. This product can be exported or not means whether this product has demand outside India or not. So this kind of studies can be made. Setting up showroom and warehouses abroad, participation in international trade fairs and displays in foreign department and stores. Somebody asked me this question, that is how to find out this market and all, how to find out this market for this how to find the buyer. Like our trade associations participate in different trade fairs, in international trade fairs. Similarly, in India also we organize international trade fairs. So it is very, just 1 minute. Delhi Pragati Maidan is famous for organizing international trade fairs. It is not only Delhi Pragati Maidan. In India also we have different international, in Kolkata also or West Bengal also we have different international trade fairs. So you must participate in these international trade fairs, like we participate, our trade association participates in different international trade fairs. You can also participate in international trade fairs which are organized in India. There people from different countries come, like they promote their product. You can also find out from them what is required by them. Okay. So by participating into trade fairs, because these trade fairs are basically showcasing your product, so you can also find out what are the things which are required. So publicity and brand promotion, definitely reimbursement of registration and testing charges, because these are also very expensive. There is one market, the first one, this was market access initiative. This is market development assistance. Under market development assistance scheme, financial assistance is provided for a range of export promotion activities implemented by export promotion councils and trade promotion organizations on the basis of approved annual action plans. This must be approved. The scheme is administered by Ministry of Commerce, Department of Commerce. So under India, financial support is provided to trade fairs and buyer-seller meet in India or abroad. Thank you. Trade fairs, buyer-seller meet in India or abroad, export promotion seminar, partial reimbursement of travel costs. So these are the things which can be reimbursed. Meeting expenses for statutory compliances. Now, what do you mean by statutory compliances? The Department of Commerce provide for reimbursement of charges, expenses for fulfilling statutory requirements in the buyer country. Like suppose for buyer country, if you want to export something, there are certain things which you need to fulfill. What do you mean by there are certain things which you need to fulfill? It means basic idea is there are certain statutory requirements. Say for example, somebody said in the European Union you cannot do this, so it is like that. That is these requirements in the buyer country, so you can they come under this particular head. And financial assistance is also provided for contesting litigations, because international litigations are very expensive. You have to apply, the application fee is $5,000. So naturally, if there is a litigation in this area, you can, as an MSME, you can claim this from the under this head. And there are sometimes there are anti-dumping duty, so you have to contest, you have to fight. So international arbitration, as I've told you, is very expensive. Uh, so similarly, they organize different training programs. Department of Commerce provides funds for capacity building for upgradation of quality of to national level institutions and export promotion council, like export promotion council, as well as different trade or in fact even CII also organize different training programs. So there are different training programs which are organized for the development. In fact, EPCs are also there. We also organize a lot of training programs under the Ministry of Commerce. Test houses, central government will assist in modernization and upgradation of test houses and laboratories to bring them at par with international standards. These are very expensive, but so export and trading house contract. So these are all of course for big. Now if you get an export house contract, that is your performance money FOB price should be based on 2 out of last 4 years export. So these are the things, so you become big, so export import you become big. But if you get a status, then these are the facilities which you get. I'm skipping this because here the amount is very huge. Of course, you can get a duty credit scheme. All Indian service providers, which are listed under this, who have free foreign exchange earning of at least rupees 10 lakh in preceding financial year, current financial year, you qualify for duty credit scheme. Now, what will happen if you qualify for duty credit scheme? All service providers shall be entitled to duty credit scheme equivalent to 10% of free foreign exchange earned during current financial year. This duty credit script may be used for import of capital goods. Like say for example, when you import, you have to capital goods, you have to pay import duty. Now you can you can import capital goods without paying any import duty with this duty credit scheme. Suppose last year your duty credit scheme is $1 lakh. So you can import capital goods up to $1 lakh without paying any import duty. Is that okay? 10% of that. Is that okay? So there is special focus initiative, focus product services, and focus product market. These are called two things schemes. Sorry, focus product scheme and focus market scheme. Aim to promote diversification. Like if everybody wants to export tea, then the other goods, other products will not be exported. So time to time, Government of India, they come out with focus product scheme and focus market scheme for diversification. So market focuser as I've told you, Latin America, Africa, and CIS countries, now everybody is because Latin America is also not doing well. So Africa is the main target. Of course, after USSR is broken into different countries, CIS countries are also, under the list where India's market share is very low. 2009-14 policy. After that, there is another foreign trade policy here also. After 2008, but there are 26 more countries taking it to over 60, and more countries are also added. And 153 4 digits means there is something called HS code, harmonization codes, you must have heard about. So there are 4 digits, there are 8 digits, there are even America has gone up to 12 digits harmonization code. So incentive increased from 2.5% of FOB to 3% for focus markets, and from 1.25% to 2% for focus products. So you get these incentives. So in view of recession in European Union and US and Japan, as I have told you, we are now concentrating on Africa. Well, Latin America also recently, Latin America, they export a lot of commodities. So they are also in trouble due to the crash of the commodity price. Objectives of focus product scheme is to promote exports of product with high employment potential. Remember, with high employment potential. So textile, gems and jewelry, these are the products where we have huge amount of employment to overcome infrastructural deficiencies. In fact, I don't know whether you are aware of this or not. In Kolkata, we have one Monikanchan, which is 100% export-oriented unit, but it is only gems and jewelry, mainly gold. Here we manufactured gems and jewelry, which is exported. For focus market to overcome high transportation costs. What are the duty exemption and emission scheme? Duty exemption scheme facilities available to imported raw material and intermediate inputs for export production, that is pre-export. DS consists of advance authorization scheme and duty-free import authorization scheme. These are different schemes. I have just pointed out because entire thing is given in your if you go to the website of Ministry of Commerce, it is given all these schemes. Advance authorization, these are different schemes which you can claim. Remission scheme enables replenishment, remission, or reimbursement of duties on inputs used in export of products. Suppose you are exporting goods. To export goods, you import certain material. Now, when you import material, you have to pay import duty. This import duty can be waived off if you export, if you use those imported items for export. This is the main thing. So there are different schemes. And DRS consists of duty entitlement passbook scheme and duty drawback scheme. Somebody was asking this duty drawback scheme at the beginning. So an advance authorization scheme is issued to allow duty-free imports of inputs which are physically incorporated in export products, making allowance for normal wastage. In addition, fuel, oil, energy catalyst used in export production may also be allowed. So these are basically, describing where it is, but these are different schemes which are available. Duty-free import of mandatory spares of up to 10% of CIF value of authorization, which are required to be exported within resultant product, are allowed under the scheme. Advance authorization scheme can be issued to either a manufacturer exporter or a merchant exporter tied to a manufacturer to import inputs for manufacturing of goods for physical exports, including export to SEZ. Now, export to SEZ, somebody was talking about asking about deemed export. This is called export, deemed export. That is, I am importing goods and I am supplying to an a trader who is exporting through an SEZ. So when I am supplying to a trader or exporter of an SEZ, that is also considered as deemed export. Okay. To the main contractor for supply of certain specific goods. So this is advanced authorization scheme. Okay, A's are exempt. I'm going fast slightly because time is also almost up. So A's are exempt from basic customs duty, additional customs duty, education sales, anti-dumping duty, and safeguard duty. A's are not transferable, but additional goods after meeting export obligation can be disposed in the domestic tariff area subject to payment of domestic taxes. Okay. So period of export obligation specific products, period of export obligation specific products, etc. etc. These are all there. DFIA similar in nature of A, except minimum of 20% value addition shall be required. Items for which higher value addition is prescribed under A, then the same will be applicable. So these are all different schemes as I have only for products for which SION stands for, it's not nothing very difficult. It is standard input output norms are available. Authorization is transferable once export obligation has been fulfilled by endorsement or competent authority. DEPB, this is very important. Objective is to neutralize incidence of customs duty on import content of export products. Suppose you are exporting something and then to export something you are importing raw material. So you can claim DEPB. Component of customs duty on fuel as per standard import output norms shall also be factored in DEPB rate. Component of special additional duty is also allowed in if SENVAT credit is not availed, etc. etc. Neutralization is provided by way of grant of duty credit against export product. Uh, Credit DPP schemes may be utilized for payment of customs duty on freely importable items and or restricted items, payment of duty against import under EPCG, export promotion of capital goods scheme, but not payment of interest and penalties, etc. etc. DPP is one of the you can claim that, and there is of course duty drawback. This is the most popular one, which you can. Here the excise duty and customs duty paid on inputs is refunded to the exporter by of finished product by way of duty drawback. For those who cannot avail other scheme, of course, of rebate, refund, reimbursement, credit of import duties or excise duties, etc. Drawback rates are determined for various industries from time to time by the Directorate of Drawback, Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance. Export promotion of capital goods, zero duty export promotion of capital goods schemes allows import of capital goods for pre-production, production and post-production at zero customs duty. Subject to an export obligations equivalent to 6 times of duty set. These are all how much you can claim. I am almost through. This is there. This is another scheme which you can also avail. The name of the scheme is given. I'm going fast, and this is the thing. So I am done. But if you have any question, you can ask me. If you have any question at this moment, we have skipped one particular part, that is payment terms, as I have told you. Uh, of course, here you can see, you can register here, you will get the everything. But at the same time, let me also tell you that if you have any question, you can ask me at this point of time. Please, we are otherwise. Of course, we could not cover the payment terms, which is also very, very important. Why we could not cover payment terms, as I have told you, that is the incentives where I was asked to discuss some of the incentives which are given to, especially to MSMEs. So basically, what we have covered today is how you can export, what are the different areas and what are the different incentives which you can get for market and all, you have to look for it. As I have told you, there are Export Promotion Council, there's ECGC, Exim Bank, they will help you. They are there to, in fact, what we find is many cases we don't know what are the countries and what are the goods. If you just produce something, it is not necessary that that can be exported, but at the same time, it can be exported. You need to find out the different markets, and not that always you have to look for the developed markets. Markets are very competitive now. Like India, there are a lot of East European countries who are also becoming slowly competitors of India in different areas. It is not that today we are number one in ITES services, but tomorrow somebody else can take our position. China, the cost of production was less, that is why everybody was outsourcing from China. But now the cost of production of China is high, and people are saying that it is as high as US. So Apple has decided to manufacture iPhone in US only. Anyway, if you have any question, or we are almost, from my part, it is done. If you have any question, otherwise we'll call it a day. Thank you very much. It was a good session from my side. I hope some of the quick queries which came I could answer. There is one question. Well, I will just. Will that payment terms and UPC 6 size available on? Yes, slides are available. So slides are available, and it is well clearly defined what are the different methods UCP 600. Now UCP 600 laws are not written in the slides, but all the payment terms in India, they are covered. Not India, and the payment terms are covered under UCP 600. In fact, there is another URC 522. UCP stands for Unified Customs Procedure, and URC stands for Universal Rules for Collection. One is document against collection, and the other is known as document against payment. So basically, there are two, but both are published by International Chamber of Commerce. And there is something called ISBP. There are certain things which are not defined by UCP, so they are defined by ISBP, International Standard Banking Practices. So those are there, but rules are not there. Rules you can download from UCP 600. Rules you can download, but what are the different payment terms, etc., etc. That those are there. Everything. I hope it is fine. It is there.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the session.